Hey everyone, it's Cool here, and today I have a 60 Grassy matchup between Nevitz and not Proz, and this is quite an interesting match. Nevitz is running some like wacky offensive book, and it's quite an abomination. It doesn't even have BFTP. I'll have the book up there on the screen. And Proz is playing a generic Swarm, Shock Shield, and Dwarf and Arcane Portal mix. Those Dwarf and Portal aren't necessarily generic, but the bare bones of the book, Shock Shield, Tower, Ice Shield, Prot, Flight, are the meta generic stuff. So we're just going to get right into it. It's quite an interesting game and has some pretty hilarious moments, so we'll see how it goes. First off, they trade a Dwarf for Mech. Proz is going to Shock Shield, which is a sensible choice, I think. And Nev here now, if he doesn't have Flight, doesn't really have a way to get to Proz. Okay, he does. He's able to get over that fence. Nice. Wasn't sure. And okay, Flash off to the left is not going to work. Too much terrain, too much distance to cover there. It's possible, I don't know, is a Flash there possible? Like, even though he's got Shock Shield? Could that be a thing? Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I could try it. There's that little piece of terrain there. I don't know if it works. I could just try it just to show you guys. Yeah, okay. If you eat the shield, where am I aiming it? Like this? And then I don't know if it's gonna clear that little piece of terrain up there by Proz. But especially if you extend down, I don't know if there's. If I don't extend, okay, it does clear that land. Seems like kind of a tricky one. I'm not sure exactly if it's possible, but I don't think worth to go for in a 60 Grassy match. So yeah, I'll fast forward just a couple turns. So Nev went for the mud and then Proz towered out. And then here we can see early on that Nev doesn't have really anything to do at this point. He just has to tower. Usually towering isn't the best early game move unless you have Sanctuary and you can like zone your opponent who has Flight Prot by Sanctuarying there like up top, and then they're not able to move through the map with Flight Prot because the Sanctuary is zoning them in. Here though is just Ice Castle, and then Nev is going to tree again, add an additional layer of protection there between him and Proz, and I think that's just because he doesn't want Proz to be able to jump over and do some tick damage with his Shock Shield eventually down the line. It's kind of a longer term decision that he's making here. So now Proz is going down to the side of the map and he's going to get some setup rolling. Get a Prot Shield out, get a Myth out, get a Shock Shield up, maybe get an Undead Peg. I don't know exactly, but that's just like a general plan. And I think that's a good one. One thing that I would do too if I'm Proz here is flash out that space where he has down on the right side. That way he's more protected from the Screaming Skulls, the arrows that will inevitably come, as you guys know, because the book is down at the bottom below the game footage here. And so he wants to make sure that he's protected from the arrows and the mech arrow also. So he has 2 arrows. And you might be wondering, like, okay, so he's got a ground minion on the side of a map. There's no way that he's going to be able to get it up, like, to the top. But he just has Portal, so I thought, oh, maybe it's worth setting up top. You know, what's the point of putting a Dwarf out at the bottom? But you can just use Portal to transport it. So, Snowman also, yeah, quite nice to take away the tops of the maps. Clear away that land from the tree. And so Nev's going to put his totem on the left side here, clear out some of the land, and if I'm Nev, I probably just tower up, or maybe an arrow works here. Okay, he goes for the arrow and kills the swarm. Nicely done. Although, he was telling me in chat he meant to aim for Proz, because what that would do is sink him. And I can try that, see if I can reposition myself and go for the arrow, and we'll see if it works. The only thing is I have to wait a minute for him to do this ladder again. But yeah, he was going for Proz because, as you can see, look where he's at. Maybe he even hits the wall and then hits the swarm tick, but I'm not sure. Maybe he would land on his swarm. I don't know how to aim this necessarily. Do I just aim it kind of a little bit higher? I'll only try it once just because I don't want to take too much time, but would something like that work? Maybe? Oh, it wouldn't have even... So there is just a slight, just a minor pushback on that. Oh, maybe I did aim a little bit on the outside, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't clip the Pegasus. So maybe I just aim it slightly over to the left, closer to the center of Proz, and it would have worked. Nonetheless, it doesn't work. Proz comes up, and you guys see the play, obviously, right? He's going to come down under Nevitz and flash him off the map. In fact, I messaged Nev at this very moment, and I said, oh, he sinks his dwarf for no reason. Classic. And I messaged Nev and I said, if he doesn't flash off the map here, I'm going to quit the game. But, thank you, Proz. I am still in the game. Save me there. Phew. So, Nevitz teleports in, and I'm thinking, okay, he lost some tempo, but Proz just killed one of his minions, so he also lost some tempo there. And he's going to want to set up again, get a swarm out, get a spirit out, flash out this land to protect from the arrows, things of that nature. Get a dwarf out, get a portal up, all that stuff. So yeah, as you know, these generic books, they're predicated on getting multiple turns where you're not really threatened and you have time to set up. That totem is going to continue to chip away at the land on the left to counter late game left side setup, right? And now Nevitz has a plan of basically just posting up at the top of the map, towering, and then spamming arrows, mech, and the skulls. And so we'll see how he executes that, or if he executes that. Here he is positioning the dwarf so that he can, or the drone so that he can jump on it and then jump over the map. Because if he just jumps, unless he gets super lucky, he will hit the border. There was one time I had a game where I positioned the drone like kind of like this. It was a spirit, I think, not a drone. But then I jumped up and I didn't clip the border, and I was able to jump over the tree and Mega Boulder Falcos for a win, I think. It was sick. That was like 2 years ago at this point. But that reminded me of that play. But it was super, super risky. Like if I miss that, I just lose the game. So I just got maybe lucky, or I'm just super clutch. A little bit of both, probably. So he brings out another drone, and Proz is going to continue to set up. Here, if I'm Proz, yeah, you can just get out a shock shield yourself, or yeah, shock shield with the storm spirit. That works too. And we're going to see some elevatoring by Nev here. In fact, I'll skip this turn. And he's just going to post up at the top and tower, just so that you guys aren't too bored by all the movement. But that's his plan now, is to use the arrows that he has. So Proz there, what did he do exactly? Windshield, okay. That was a good counter to the arrows. He has to come up with some way to avoid them, to counteract that damage that is going to inevitably come. But as I keep saying, flashing to that middle may be a good option to just be able to hide without a windshield from the arrows. Because the thing about Screaming Skulls, 75 damage, infinite use, no cooldown. It's nuts. If you just sit out there in the open, you're just going to die in, what would that be? 4 turns. You'll die without any prots. That's going to wipe out over 250 of your health. So, Nev is going to totem that free. And it's worth noting now that he doesn't have BFTP. Okay, he goes for a pebble there. I don't know what that purpose of that pebble is. Nev, if you're watching, let me know. I would think pebbling to the right is better because you're making progress toward him. And also you've got some rush spells, so you'd be able to pressure that way. but at the same time you don't want him to chip you with Shock Shield, chip you with Swarm. So he kind of doesn't have many moves, so maybe he just decided to go for a Pebble. Although, if he was going to Pebble, why not just Screaming Skulls and do damage to, like, the Pegasus? Not sure. So, Proz is going to move up top. Looks like he wants to kill the Totem. Probably a fine play. Maybe with the Shock Shield and the Swarm. If I'm Proz, though, I don't know if I want to stay up top. Obviously, because of the top pressure that we know Nevitz has. Mega Boulder, Mech Arrow, Screaming Skulls, Pebble Shot. Hell, even Pinecone, I think, is in his book. Take a look down below the footage, and you'll see the book. I also have it in replays, in fact. When I hop in, you can see it as well. Okay, so he stays up top, and he summons a Swarm. But, as I've kind of been alluding to, what Nev is going to do is just start to chip away at his minions with his arrows. And so that's why I think coming down to the right would be a bit better. Here he chooses to depry him first because he's calculated the chip damage. He's got 125 health on the tower with the prot and the tower health. So he deflights first to make him a little bit more vulnerable, Proz himself. And he'll eat a couple turns of the chip damage. And we're just going to keep a mental note of how many skulls he uses in a row. And I think I'll add a skulls counter just for the full game, just because it's such a meme. You guys will really start to enjoy this. I think it starts to heat up the spec right about now. So he towers under Nev, which is a great play, I think. And he's got a lot of chip damage that he's threatening. Okay, so he used one skull, but then he used mech. So a lot of arrows in a row, but maybe not skulls themselves. Yet. We will just have to wait and see. So that's a lot of chip damage. He's already down to 30, and Proz can just re-up his shock shield here. That's, I think, what I would do if I was in his position. I don't remember exactly when the last time was that he protection shielded, but I think it was pretty early, so he also has that up soon, if not now. But yeah, threatening all this chip damage is going to be pretty good for Proz here. What is Nevitz setting up with those two drones? Maybe just, okay, discouraging the jumping over. Discouraging Proz from jumping over. And there, okay, he sets up a dwarf. I'm not sure if setting up a dwarf is that great here. Maybe I would go back down right and protection shield and try to get maybe an undead Pegasus. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. And Nevitz retreats there because he has 30 health on his tower, and he's going to get detowered next turn and chipped with Shock Shield, and then probably Shock Bombed. And he doesn't want to take that much damage, obviously. He wants to win the game, as we all do. So that's why he does the move that he does. And now, yeah, Proz is threatening a lot of chip damage each turn. 25 plus the 30 from the swarm, so 55 damage. But I'm not sure about the dwarf summon. What dwarf requires is several turns to get it undead and then have a portal to move it to Nev. And that just takes so much time. But to be fair, he does accelerate it. There's a minor market that dwarf has, right, where you can purchase different abilities, and you're taking some health from the dwarf. So he's able to get that myth just right away, which this is a funny little thing. It lights up when it has the melee damage available. It does 30 damage to anyone that you hit it with that's your opponent each turn, kind of like a troll would do. But it also walks on water and has high long jumps, far long jumps, and I think about standard high jumps. And then caps at 75 health, so pretty busted minion. Did that go from 37 to 50? Am I seeing things? 13? Why did that not go up 15? Maybe it does it cap at 50, not 75. Okay, that could be it. Yeah, so these cap at 50, and Proz does a Q there, basically, with the flash. I'm not sure what that really does. My brain is not big enough. So that must be it. If I'm Proz there, I just basically try to go down right again and set up a Proz shield or something. Maybe pebbling down, although no, okay, it doesn't have pebble in this book, but yeah, I definitely would go down to the right side. Okay, so that was the first skulls that Nev brought out to kill the swarm. Okay, we got skulls number 2. Okay, this is where the skulls counter comes in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see this. Okay, if I'm Proz here, maybe just re-up the shock shield. Again, I'm going to keep saying I would just go back down to the right side. Because even though he re-ups the shock shield, he's still got all his minions in harm's way. 3rd skulls in a row. Now, Proz is in a tough spot. Okay, he tries to portal grab the drone. Unfortunately, drone is literally a portal counter, so he just puts the drone in there and use the 4th skulls in the row to kill the myth. This is hilarious. Literally just like brain dead gameplay, just spamming the screaming skulls. 5 skulls in a row. Kills the swarm. And as you can see, there's not much pushback at all, and it goes through any minions that it kills. Just ridiculous. Okay, kills the swarm off summon with the bolt. Was that 4 or 5 skulls in a row? That was insane. So nuts. Okay, so besides the star bolt, he had 4 skulls in a row there and then used the bolt. And now Proz is setting up a prot, but problem is, as you might have guessed, he's just going to get skulled to the face. Oh, what is he cooking here? Some sort of ladder? No. No, not. Definitely not cooking up a ladder. Again, brain not big enough for this. Oh, wait. Is he? No. Not laddering. I'm thinking of a different turn, maybe. Skulls. Down. Prot down. Shock shield. Down. Here's the counter again. Two in a row. How many in a row will we have this time? Proz has got to hide. Okay, finally. He should have done that 20 turns ago. Hidden from the arrow. Jeez. Okay, Nev brings the totem out. And I'm seeing a turn, an aggro turn, to just like do so much damage, win the game. Slightly risky if you're not a good lover, but you know, it's not too hard. Here, Proz is moving his dwarf up. I don't know what he's doing with the dwarf exactly. Okay, jumping the border, and okay, he wants to kablam. That's a fair play, but it leaves him open. Leaves him open for a play here, and I'm just gonna hop in and do what I would do, because I want to show you guys. Jump the border, come down, and I would probably do this, and then just soft lob a mega. I like to zoom in a little bit with these hard lobs, and this is kind of tricky. You have to throw it so that it just kind of sits on his head and doesn't bounce off or down, doesn't go off like hard off the wall and go back in your face, but it's just like a soft lob. I probably want to not be level with him, but a little bit lower, and just kind of soft lob like that. Perfect. Perfect. Look at that. He goes down to 95 if Nevitz has that dog in him. We'll see. Does Nev contain that dog? We'll have to wait. The anticipation is crushing as we're loading up the game here, and we'll see what he does. Okay, so totem to clear out the land to get to Proz here. And then, yeah, Proz is going to do his dwarf shenanigans, kablam. Okay, I fast forwarded there. And yes, okay, we will see Nev get that elevator set up. Jump on the drone, jump over. And I was thinking, man, Mega Boulder here, even Pinecone would be good. He does Ice Shield, and I'm like, what is he doing? What is he cooking? Like, again, my brain is just not that big. I cannot understand, cannot comprehend what he is thinking. But then he brings out the snowman, and I'm like, okay, So Snowman can't be drainable. Proz doesn't really have areas that he can gate that are safe. And he only has Shock Bomb to kill that. If I'm Proz here, I would just probably Shock Bomb that. Just scoot over to the left, toss a Shock Bomb, kill the Snowman. And you're 205, and Nev Ice Shielded him off. And what he doesn't know is Nev doesn't have BFTP, so he has to tower out. Again, this book is an abomination that Nev has. Instead, he trees. I don't understand this. I don't understand what he's worried about. I do know that Proz doesn't know that he doesn't have BFTP. Obviously, anyone with a brain would bring BFTP. But Nev, immediately when he cues into this game, he just said, what the fuck did I bring to this match? And he shares his book, and I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what you were smoking when you made this book. And then brought it against Proz. Wild. But what Proz does is he allows 2 straight snowbolts, and he goes down to 120 for no reason. He could just as easily have shock bombed the Snowman and just moved on with his life. Still been at 205, and Nev's at 250 still, of course, but you worry about damaging him later. You got to defend yourself. Of course, he gets the drain off, and I guess the slight not saving grace, but silver lining there is that he does have shock shield up, but it's not that great. I mean, he's down so much health. It's unfortunate here that Nev doesn't have BFTP. Otherwise, he would have an absolutely nuts play, which I can show a little bit later. What I'm thinking is that Snowman, he just brings it over, and he might be starting to do this. Yeah, he's going to elevator the Snowman with the oh, he just jumps. He jumps right over. He's going to elevator the Snowman over the map, and I would melt it, and then you can go through and hit him with a spell. Problem is he doesn't have BFTP, so he can't do that. If he did have BFTP and took it out for something, probably take out Pinecone, put in BFTP, then he could basically win the game right here. Ladder that Snowman over, melt it, and then walk through. Now he has the play. He has the play. Look at this. I'll take control. Jump it over. Oh, god damn it. You didn't see that. You did not see that. I need the Men in Black pen thing that he has that erases memories of the audience. Okay. Am I going to screw this up again? What do you think? What do you all think? Oh, I am taking a while. Okay. Do I make it? All right. And then jump over this way. Okay, now he's free. The only thing is he doesn't have prot. So maybe it's not as good of a play because he doesn't have prot, but I'll show at least that it works. Okay, and the melt does some damage. This might be okay. You just go down here and maybe cover the opening with totem, right? Something like this. And then you just throw your mega. Boom. And he's just so cooked. He's 48 health. And the shock shield expires the following turn if there's not any sort of bug with the cooldowns now that I jumped in. So that is a play that he had available, but instead chose to do something a little bit different, which wasn't bad, but just not quite as aggressive as he could have been there. But that would have been like a nail in the coffin type of play. But we'll see what Nev chooses to do instead, which is kind of an interesting line. So he puts the totem there, and he's thinking, okay, in about 2 or 3 turns, I'll be able to fit through. And now again, like the key was that he needs to be free because he doesn't have BFTP. And so that's why he totemed to clear the land from the ice shield. And okay, he just prots. So he's just biding his time. He knows that Proz doesn't have a ton of things set up, and okay, the shock shield does expire actually in the real game, so no sort of bug there. Okay, he does get a peg out, so maybe allowing a little bit more minion setup isn't the most ideal, the most optimal thing, and going for that rush mega would I think have been the best, because yeah, he took some damage from the melt. I did a lob that was getting him down to 48, which is seriously lethal. I mean, Nev has a second Mega Boulder, he has Screaming Skulls, he has Mech Arrow, he has Snowbolt, he has Pine Cone. What doesn't he have that kills Proz? Everything kills him at 48. So, but we are instead taking a lower, slower line and just kind of being a little bit more methodical now that he missed out on the more aggro opportunity. One line here is to maybe tower up and then pebble down. But then he doesn't want necessarily Proz to be able to go to the left side of the map, so I would block off the middle with the drone, like he does there, yep. So my line here would probably be to tower when it's up. It is up, okay. I might have scooted a little bit over to the right if I ever want to pebble down, that's easy. And I don't have a BFTP, so I can't really set it up. Otherwise I have to do some awkward lob. Okay, no, he's still able to pebble down. I didn't really see that extend kind of steeper angle, so that worked out. And okay, he just goes for the skulls, kills the Pegasus after the pebble. So a decent line there. And again, without the portal, the dwarf doesn't really do much, and it's not much of a threat. Although, okay, he does minor market it and then swarm it, and he's able to make it a myth, so I lied. You have to think about always the minor market and then the zombifiable potential of the myth here. And again, like I said, or maybe I haven't said this yet, when the myth glows, it has the ability to do a 30 melee tick damage, like a troll, to a player. And also it walks on water, and it has a further long jump, and I think the standard high jump. So great movement, and also walking on water and good melee damage. Great chip damage minion over time. So here, Nev is in a tower, nestled up next to Proz here in a prot. Not really sure what he's thinking of doing. He doesn't really have much melee. Maybe like a Sui, like a Pinecone Sui or Mega Sui or something. And then he would be at what, like 100 maybe with Pinecone, or 70 with the Mega. But okay, he kills 2 of his minions with 1 attack. Perfect. So he's waiting, he's biding his time for the Sui and crushing his setup potential there. Going in the portal, and he does Mega. Huge Mega, getting him down to 73, which is lethal. And looks like Proz is cooking up a flash here. Oh, he just goes straight past the pixel. Great flash by Proz. I actually said when this was live, I was like, that looks like a really tough flash. I don't think he would go for it. And he gets it anyway. He says, fuck off, Coevil. I got this. Okay, no, he probably didn't say that. He probably just clutched up. And here, the thing is, Nev has a safe telly, and so after that flash, Proz is still in a difficult position. I mean, he's still lethal, so he has to deal with that somehow. How I would deal with that is... damn. Go side and tower? I would have probably gone all the way down to the right side. Just use the swarm to elevator yourself down. So you set the swarm next to the tree, and then you just move it down with Proz himself on top of it, and then he gets down to the bottom of the map. But instead, he towers up top. And again, I think that has kind of been difficult for him. That's been a struggle, is that he has been trying to set up top, and he's got a lot of exposed minions. And the problem with that is the Screaming Skulls, of course. They're just 75 damage because Nev is able to keep up 3 or 4 minions for so long. Once again, he's just posting up at the top of the map, towering, and then just spamming the arrows. So what are we going to see again here? 2 arrows looks good for a line, potentially. Totem goes through portal. I didn't know if you guys knew that. Doesn't quite look like it would fit necessarily. The size of the sprite is a bit larger. But I don't know, perhaps it's just a little bit of an illusion. The red circle maybe is a bit larger, but the minion itself isn't. I don't know. Gets a little bit of a double hit there. The peg takes 30. His tower takes 45 if I did the math right. And he's trying to get that swarm free without taking the snowman, but he's having a little bit of trouble. It's kind of tricky. There we go. Good micro. And here, I don't have much help for Proz. I just keep saying that he should go down to the right and set up instead. Not like that solves all of his issues at this point because he's so low. So there's not really an easy way at this point to, stall this out. Nev is going for a D tower. I don't know if this could work, but he's cooking up. Oh, he's gonna pebble sink. My God. I didn't remember not seeing that until the last moment. I was like, okay, well maybe you could pebble. It probably won't sink though. But it does. He clutched up. And do you all see the final turn? I mentioned elevator earlier. What does he have here? The drone. Just drop on it. Send yourself down. Go to the border so that the drone doesn't move at all. And he gets the skulls off. It's kind of poetic that he finished them off with the Screaming Skulls with how many times he used it in game. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this commentary. I'll have a skulls counter, as I said, up on the screen. So yeah, if anything, drop a like and subscribe for the skulls counter. And I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening. We'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.